Hey, today we'll check out the newest Constitution rifle and the DP00 tactical armor, discuss whether or not they're good or bad, and not only that, a few fans were expecting more out of Liberty Day and were not happy with it. Also, the developers left an Easter egg in the files, and there's much more to talk about. If you can support the channel, please tap the like button below at any point and subscribe with notifications on. We are going to start off with the new Constitution rifle. I earned this a little bit after the Mage Order was completed, and I threw on the items right away once I popped back in my destroyer. So what I decided to do was test out this weapon on different types of Terminids. The Alpha Commander takes 3 shots to pop off its head, while the Brood Commander on the other hand took 2 shots for its cranium to burst. Now if you equipped one of the Viper Commando armors that has the Peak Physique passive, this passive actually increases your melee damage by 50%, and improves your weapon handling as well. I will say I was quite impressed at how amazing this weapon cuts up the Terminid legs. I basically dismembered all of the commander's legs, and it was satisfying for some reason. The Brood Commander had to drag itself towards me, and it could hardly move, which was crazy to see. The next Terminid on the list for testing is the Hive Guard. It took a total of 3 shots to kill it, which isn't much, and I thought it was impressive that it dealt enough damage to stop it in its tracks. If you decide you want to cut it up into pieces, you for sure can do that, and it doesn't take much at all. In this clip, I bayoneted the legs right off the Hive Guard, and it was practically useless at that point and couldn't harm me even if it wanted to. The third bug I tried it out on was both the Bile and Nursing Spewer. The Bile Spewer takes 3 shots to blow its brains out, and the Nursing Spewer only needs 2 shots for it to stop functioning. You could also slice up their legs the same as you would with the Commanders and the Hive Guard. Although I would suggest you shoot at its head instead of running up to it. You'll see better results. But don't get me wrong, it's still satisfying to cut them up. How about we talk about Stalkers now, because you only need to inflict 2 shots and it's done for. If you decide you would like to run up to it and stab the Stalker's dome, it only takes 4 stabs to destroy it. But you can attack its legs if you use a stun, then run up and slice its legs, so that will slow it down and allow you to either get away or finish it up by shooting at its head. I think it's quite effective on the Stalkers considering you only need 2 shots to stop it, compared to the Hive Guard that takes 3 shots, or even the Alpha Commander that also takes 3 shots. Overall, the Constitution rifle is quite effective to use on the Stalkers. Alright, so far we've covered Hive Guards, Stalkers, Alpha Commanders, Brood Commanders, Bile Spewers, and the Nursing Spewers. What about the Chargers? Well, it's kind of interesting. I decided to use a stun to slow down the Charger from charging at me. This way it would give me enough time to lay in a few stabs. It takes a total of 8 bayonet stabs for the Charger to be killed if you attack its legs. I was pleasantly surprised after seeing the results. I then tested out the bayonet on the back end with the Peak Physique passive. It took a total of 12 stabs. I suggest if you are going to attack a Charger with this rifle, go after the legs instead of the backside. It takes 8 stabs to kill it instead of doing 12 stabs. As for shots, it takes quite a few to blow its back in, so I recommend that you use a support stratagem or a stratagem like the Orbital Precision Strike instead of using the Constitution rifle, unless you absolutely have to use it. Lastly, for the smaller Terminids, it doesn't take too much damage to kill them, it's only 1 shot. As for the Shriekers, it's the same, it's only 1 shot. If you're using the bayonet, then it only takes 1 stab for the smaller bugs. Now let's switch up the enemies here and see how the weapon does on the Automatons. The Commissioners and the Jet Brigade enemies only require 1 shot, and that's it. But the Scout Striders and Rocket Striders do not require too much damage. Inflicting 3 shots towards the pelvis of the Strider is all it takes to destroy them. You can mix up your loadout by equipping the Verdict. This way you have 2 different ways to take down the Striders. The next automaton is the Hulk. I tried to see if it was just like the Senator, because if you don't know, the Senator can easily defeat Hulks if you aim directly at the head. So with that being said, I tried this out and it was useless, so don't aim for the head at all. Yet if you really want to take down a Hulk with the Constitution rifle, then aiming for the battery pack on the Hulk is the best way to do so. But I wouldn't recommend it. It takes 9 shots, and by that time you could have pulled out a recoilless rifle, maybe even the Senator, and finished the job that way. Lastly, we have the Devastators. The chainsaw models take 2 shots to the gut if you aim correctly, and of course, 1 shot to the head. For the shielded Devastators, your best aim for the head as well, yet you could just use the counter sniper rifle, which might be a better option instead of using the Constitution. This basically applies to the Rocket Devastator as well. My overall thoughts about the weapon are that it's both good and bad. It's fun to use on the Terminids, but can be quite challenging with the Automatons. If I were to use this again, I think it would be purely just to have fun and mess around with. However, I don't see it replacing the counter sniper or the diligence. I will say it's a neat weapon because of the attached bayonet, yet I don't think it's powerful enough to bring onto the battlefield. I believe there are better options to choose from in terms of rifles. If you have already tried it out for yourself, then let me know how you feel about it. I'd like to hear from you in the comments and what your overall impressions are about it. Do you like it or do you not like it? We can have a great conversation about it below, so post your responses. On a similar note, Liberty Day was fun. It was cool to see all the fans hop back into the game, and there were a total of 92,000 players that were active at the time. Now, someone on my Discord posted a screenshot of the active players afterwards, and it was a total of 97,000 active players, and that's incredible. Although I did see a post right here on Reddit where this player created a post with a title that says, "The game is dead, bros are getting desperate." Yeah, apparently there's players out here who are not too fond of Liberty Day and the items that were handed out for free. In this post, the original poster replied to a comment below his post that questioned it by wanting to know more context about it. The response was, "A bunch of people were complaining on the Super Earth Anthem stream that the free content looks bad and that AH is pathetic for making it, or things to that effect." I don't completely understand at all why there are players like this. We received 2 free gifts, or technically 3 if you count the helmet, so why is there a problem? It's not like they released downloadable content that costs money. If that was the case, then yeah, I could see why there would be complaints, but it's free. It didn't cost anything, perhaps some of your time, but that's it. Maybe a bunch of players were expecting more out of this, like an event, or maybe arriving on Super Earth, something, right? I think it would be cool next time to see the Super Destroyer all decorated inside with the Liberty Day theme going on, but again, I don't see any issues with the Liberty Day yesterday. I had a great time saluting my fellow Helldivers or hugging it out before getting into the Pelican, but yeah, I'd like to know how you all felt about Liberty Day. Was it what you expected, or did you anticipate something entirely different? If so, let me know. Also, before we move along, when I title my video that includes fans, I'm not talking about the overall fan base, just a portion of the fan base that may feel differently. So don't think this includes you if you actually enjoy Liberty Day. I'm only talking about the ones that didn't. That's why I want to know how you all feel about it and if we're all on the same page. Like I said, I enjoyed it, so I want to know your thoughts on it. I'd also like to see everyone's response about the next topic we're going to get into. So interestingly, the Arrowhead developers, believe it or not, included a URL in the user configuration file that redirects you to the Rickroll song, and no, I'm not trolling. I'll show you the proof here and you can feel free to check it out for yourself. All you have to do is locate the file in the app data folder, which you can open up by going to the search bar below, typing %app data%, then click in the app data folder. Find the Arrowhead folder and lastly click on the Helldivers 2 folder. You should see a file in this folder that says user settings config. Open this up in Notepad, search for URL, and you'll find a link. Paste that link into your browser, and you'll be shocked to see the song is Never Gonna Give You Up. I have no clue as to why they did this. Maybe a small Easter egg, but that's pure gold, and it's funny that they did something like this. I did not discover this, so all credit goes to this Reddit post by Share Your Alt for the discovery. Next up, if you didn't know, the 60-day plan was all based around us and our feedback, and that's why they decided to change things up. It wasn't just because that's what they wanted to do, as in the developers. So right here, B Vitamin wrote, the 60-day plan patches were based entirely on player feedback, not so much specific suggestions to change specific numbers though. So as you all know, Arrowhead has been sending out survey forums over the last few days, so hopefully that comes into play in the next big patch. Like, hopefully they do change a lot of things up. Alright, we're now at that part of the video where I talk about your loadout suggestions. If you want me to feature your loadout, post a comment below with what you're using. And even if you did post it below, you know, in the previous videos and I didn't pick it, do it again and you might just be featured. The first suggestion is from a subscriber named Hinzai Macro 6840. The recommended primary is the Cookout. I've used this many times to stagger enemies. It's really good for that and adds a burning effect on enemies. The secondary is the Grenade Pistol for plugging holes and blowing up enemies that are grouped together. The grenades can either be stun or thermite. I decided to use thermite since we're using the flamethrower stratagem, so we can stun chargers, then burn them. The second stratagem is the AR-23 guard dog, which is now amazing after the last update that, basically swapped the gun to a Liberator penetrator. We've also got a Gatling sentry that does wonders on several types of bugs. And lastly, we've got the rail cannon strike that automatically detects the largest enemy and wrecks them. For instance, like the Bile. This is a different type of loadout that I wasn't expecting, and your comment received 47 upvotes, and I believe it's now at 80. The loadout was fun and different, although I'm not a complete fan of the cookout. The staggering is great. I think this loadout deserves a 4 out of 5 general brash stars. Last but not least, we have one more loadout by a player named Zach Clark 8198, who suggested I try out the Purifier. Having used this as much recently, yet it's pretty good on the bugs like Brood Commanders and Hive Guards. The secondary is the stim pistol. Surprisingly, yeah, I wasn't expecting this one. It helps out a lot when your teammate health is low. You can help save their stims and whatnot. We've got a recoilless rifle that you all know what it's used for, and that's chargers and titans. The 500 kg bomb is also great on chargers, yet I think it might be bugged, as you can tell in this clip. The third stratagem is the 380 barrage that I use on bigger hive nests, and lastly, the auto cannon for dealing with hordes. Zach says this is great for both bots and bugs, and I like it, and I think it's good enough to be a 4 out of 5 as well. With all the information out of the way, this is your Helldivers Team News. We're now going to check out the top 3 comments. If you guys would like to be featured in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below. The first comment is by Landon Zone 7341. Happy Liberty Day, Democracy Brothers, and happy Liberty Day to you as well, even though it's passed already, but still, happy Liberty Day. The second comment is by Mysterious__1. So we don't get the weapon early as the headline suggests, but rather after the ammo, which is normal. Now this comment right here is quite interesting. Some thought I was lying, some thought I was clickbaiting, but obviously a lot of you found out the truth when you checked out the timestamps, because I always include timestamps. And right here is the image I was referring to, and a lot of people I guess skipped over it, but you can tell that Twimber basically says the same exact stuff I was telling you. If you're active, after the MO is done, you will receive the reward. But if you're inactive on the 28th, you will not receive it. So yes, you do receive it early if you're online. But if you're not online, you will not receive it, and you'll have to wait till the 28th, as it mentions right here. So there you go. And last but not least, we have Lord Hugs for Drugs 893 039, the Democracy Officer, casually chilling while the Helldiver uses black magic to levitate. Yes, if you don't know what he's talking about, check out the previous video because I show you how to get to the bottom section of the destroyer, and it's definitely worth watching. Thank you all for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed, remember, do it now. It's completely free. It doesn't charge you, and I know a lot of you are not subscribed. You always come by the videos, but you just haven't clicked that red button just yet. So do it now for me, and let's try to reach at least 200 subscribers in this one video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.